Are those loops making you loopy? Feeling beaten by your own beats? Whether you are a new producer still learning the ropes, or frustrated with a track that refuses to be finished, EDLX may have the answer. A fantastic opportunity to not only seek counsel with a skilled producer, but to have your idea fully realized, documented and even released. So how does it work? When you are stuck with a track, drop it into our Dropbox. Our featured producer will select one track and fix it. And on top of that, EDLX will release the result as a bonus track. So drop your track and get it fixed.
Hi, this is Brendon Moeller, aka Beat Pharmacy and Ecologist, also owner of Steadfast Records, and I'm coming to you today from my home studio, which is based in upstate New York. Okay, so on to the good stuff. As you can see, my chosen DAW is Ableton Live. The first part of this operation for me was to analyze / watermark the loops that I was presented with and then get them set up in live. Once I had them set up in live, what I did was solo each track to make sure that everything was in sync using Live's click track. And once I had everything in sync, it was about choosing my favorite loop and basically start jamming on it, adding effects, etc., and see where this goes. I always find that you gravitate towards the most exciting loop, and that eventually becomes the dominating force in the track. Okay, so before I get back to this, what I always like to do is get my effect returns tracks set up with effects I think are gonna come in handy for mixing down a track of this nature. So let's go to that. On effects return 1, I go for my staple reverb, which you can find in Live's audio effect rack under reverbs, and it's called Reverb Flange Verb. This is possibly an effect that I use on almost every track that leaves my studio. On the second track, I decided to go for Live's grain delay effect patch, which is going to add some nice grit and atmosphere. On the third track, I decided to go for the filter delay for some of those more dubby effects on the drums, etc. Right, back to the original loop I was jamming on. Okay, the first insert effect I choose for this track is the frequency shifter, one of my favorite live effects, specifically the phasing on drums and chord hits makes a huge difference and creates that illusion of movement. And if you open up a little reverb via the effects end on that, you got great atmosphere right off the bat. Secondly, I have a filter, Live's auto filter, which helps again creating movement and giving things a little edge. And then the third insert effect is the beat repeat, which brings a little craziness to the table. And lastly, a limiter on this track so things don't get too out of hand. I also decided to add a couple of extra drums to what I was given. The ride cymbal, which you can hear going, which I played in, just using Live's simpler. Then there's also the cabasa, sort of very subtle in the background, just to sort of add a groove. I played that in and added a little delay and gave it sort of a real sort of dub reggae groove. Okay, next, let's talk about adding some effects to the drums. What I like to do is basically assign all the controls that I have to my controller so that I can add delays and phasing using the knobs rather than using the mousepad on my laptop. I just find that brings a much more fluid and live feel to the effects. Great way to also again create that feeling of movement. Onto the final stages, the arrangement. What I like to do here is basically just play around. I mean, it's like a canvas, you know, you just place different elements and then you listen over and over again, experimentation. What I enjoy about great techno tracks personally is the hypnotic effect that they tend to have. So what that usually means for me is just finding the groove and then riding it out.